The Titans kept having more baby Titans. I won't mention all of them, or we'll be here as long as Gaia napped. But Koios and Phoebe, the prophecy couple, had a girl named Leto who decided that she wanted to be the Titan protector of the young. She was the world's first babysitter. All the dad and mom Titans were really happy to see her. Hyperion and Thea, Mr. and Mrs. Shiny, had twins named Helios and Selene, who were in charge of the sun and the moon. Makes sense, right? You can't get much shinier than the sun and the moon. Helios would drive the chariot of the sun across the sky every day, even though it got terrible mileage. Helios thought he looked pretty hot, and he had an annoying habit of calling the sun his chick magnet. Selene wasn't quite so flashy. She drove her silver moon chariot across the sky at night and mostly kept to herself. Though one time she did fall in love, it was the saddest story ever, but that's for later. At any rate, one particular Titan was not getting married or having kids, namely Kronos, the Lord of the Universe. He just sat on his throne in the palace of Mount Orpheus and got very, very grumpy watching everyone else have a good time. Remember the curse that Uranus warned him about? Well, someday Kronos' own kids would overthrow him. Kronos could not get that out of his head. At first he told himself, well, no biggie, I just won't get married or have kids. But it's a pain to be on your own when everyone else around you is getting settled down and starting families. Kronos had earned his throne fair and square, but that curse took all the fun out of chopping up his dad. Now he had to worry about getting overthrown while everyone else got to enjoy the good life. Uncool. His relatives didn't visit him anymore. Once Gaia went back into the earth, they stopped coming around the palace for Sunday dinner. They said they were busy, but Kronos suspected that his brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews were simply scared of him. He did have his father's temper and sense of cruelty. His scythe was intimidating. Plus, he had the slightly off-putting tendency to scream, "I'll kill you all!" whenever someone made him mad. But was that his fault? One morning, he really snapped. He woke up to a Cyclops hammering on a piece of bronze right outside his bedroom window. 7 in the morning on a weekend. Kronos had promised his mom that he would free the elder Cyclopses and the 100-handed ones from Tartarus, but he was getting really tired of his ugly relatives. They'd become more and more disgusting as they grew up. They smelled like porta potties. They had like zero personal hygiene, and they were constantly making noise, building things, hammering metal, cutting stone. They'd been useful for building the palace, but now they were just annoying. Kronos called Atlas and Hyperion and a couple of his goons. They rounded up the Cyclopses and 100-handed ones and told them they were going for a nice drive in the country to look at wildflowers. Then they jumped the poor guys, wrapped them in chains again, and tossed them back into Tartarus. If Gaia woke up, she would not be happy. But so what? Kronos was the king now. Mom would just have to deal with it. Things were much quieter at the palace after that, but Kronos still had a major case of the grumpies. It wasn't fair that he couldn't have a girlfriend. In fact, he had a particular girl in mind. Secretly, he had a crush on Rhea. She was gorgeous. Every time the Titan family got together, Kronos stole glances at her. If he noticed any other guys flirting with her, he would pull them aside for a private conversation with his scythe in hand, and warn them never to do it again. He loved how Rhea laughed. Her smile was brighter than Helios' chick magnet. The sun. He loved the way her dark curly hair swept her shoulders. Her eyes were as green as meadows, and her lips. Well, Kronos dreamed about kissing those lips. Also, Rhea was sweet and kind, and everyone loved her. Kronos thought, if I had a wife like that, my family wouldn't fear me as much. They'd come to the palace more often. Rhea could teach me to be a better Titan. Life would be awesome. But another part of him thought, no, I can't get married because of that stupid curse. Kronos grumbled in frustration. He was the king of the freaking universe. He could do whatever he wanted. Maybe Uranus had just been messing with him and there was no curse. Or maybe he would get lucky and he wouldn't have kids. Note to self, if you're trying not to have kids, don't marry a lady who's the Titan of motherhood.